farther away from me.
All this technology and this big country like that. Everything's still there?
We're back.
Hey,
Okay.
that's the back of the truck.
Hey
See, we
guys,
had
we're
the-
back. Just so you
Go ahead,
guys
Bill.
are back, just to re-update this, we're talking with Don Jr. and Don Sr. from the Nearly Historical Railroad. And we had a bit of a break in, what do you call it there? Wait a minute. All right. We're back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this gentleman, you took this part down.
Right. So yeah. So that layout, the one fellow had passed away, and so they ended up selling the house, and all the other guys that kind of worked on the layout and stuff. Nobody had any room for the layout at all. So that's where how we ended up with it.
We had to build shelves in this structure. You can't attach anything to the walls, so we had to make our own walls and build the shelves in there, add one piece at a time. We put the top, start at the top and work down and just try and get everything to fit in there, which we made most of it. We had to chop off a couple of mountaintops we could not take, and maybe a couple of small cabinets too, but we got most everything in there. But like I said, it took several days to get it all done.
Looks good though. So you had to build that frame within the truck itself.
Yes,
Right.
we
Right.
made 2 or 3 trips to your local lumber yard down there, and we bought just 2x4s and 1x4s, so we had to brace everything on the layout itself before we moved it. We had to put new pieces of lumber on that.
A lot of the layout, the bench work, a lot of it was glued and then like nailed together with like finish nails. So before I cut stuff up, a lot of it I went through and like added screws in and strengthened it up, and then added some bracing here and there. It's part of the staging yard that goes underneath the layout.
That's the okay. This was the
This is so it was all DC. The layout was, so at some point we decided, all right, we need to upgrade this thing to DCC, which kind of meant redoing all the wiring underneath. We reused existing feeders, but that's about it. We added feeders, added bus lines, but I had to study the track plan for a while to figure out how to break this up into districts.
3 reverse loops in there.
So this isn't super pretty, but yeah, these red areas, those are all reversing sections. So there's 3 different reversing sections that needed auto reversers. This inner one is both a normal kind of reverse loop and also a Y. So yeah, I kind of put this together to try to make sense out of all of it. The little dots are just kind of like positive, negative, red wire, black wire.
yeah, right.
Yeah. So, and I think the next pictures I have, this is, we're talking now about the narrow gauge layout, or HON3 layout that we got back in 2000. This was like the original track plan that the original owner had drawn, and we actually have this, so that's kind of neat. This red section is a big piece that we've reused, and so is the blue sections. That's all stuff we reused. The white area stuff that was more just track work and bench work. There wasn't any scenery or anything really. There's a really tall bridge here that we've been able to reuse. This section here was Forest Pass. So we discovered later, and we didn't know it at the time, but this layout was actually modeled after the Colorado Southern layout or train, which I didn't realize that, and I probably should have a long time ago. But this section of the layout actually went up and over a doorway. And I had this section of the layout for years, trying to figure out how to work it into our room, and I just never could make it work. So it doesn't exist anymore. But we I've been trying to reuse as much as possible. So again, this is a little bit older picture, but the red section was older existing layout, and the blue section as well. But then the green is stuff that we added to kind of make it all fit in this room. That's actually the place out in Como, one of the hotels, the Eating House out in Como, Colorado, which that railroad is modeled after. My dad and I actually got to stay there. So that was kind of cool. We also got to pound a couple spikes out there, and they now have a locomotive running out there. And this is the original depot, Como Depot, which we have on our layout. So it's pretty. This building right here, that's on our layout. Looks almost exactly like that. So it's kind of neat. And that's the mascot there. That's an awesome dog out there. So let's see. Let me stop sharing pictures here. And push you back there. Okay. So those are the pictures I've got.
Yeah, the narrow gauge layout that we got originally was this U shape, like I said. And when we got this layout here, there's no way we can get this in here because we couldn't do any changing on this. Just put it back in exactly the same way it was set up originally. So we had to take that U shape and make a L out of it so that we can have room to put this layout in here. It fit.
I have to tell you, gentlemen, I was watching the videos up the parts, for Alpine Station, Kenosha Pass, and
Right.
and the ripping of the tile, the ceiling tiles. For that was a great idea. That was an absolutely great idea. You had me on the fencing. It was like, what city audience is this guy talking? And I said, wait a minute, Bill, before it goes over your head and out of the ballpark there. I think it's a joke. Which it was.
So I would say too, one kind of neat thing is that we have the standard gauge layout, and it's not necessarily a specific area. So with that and other stuff we're adding, we can just kind of do freelance, whatever we want to do. It doesn't really matter. But then on the narrow gauge, since it is based off of a real location, it gives me an opportunity to actually do some historical kind of work and try to understand what was there and try to visit those places and study them and get pictures and try to recreate those areas. And it's funny because we have this fairly large room, but there's still just never enough room. It's like that Alpine Station area. I'm compressing it down to something that big, I feel like, and it should be 10 feet long,
Right. Well, it should be another building the same size as the
right.
and extended.
So
right, exactly. What I found interesting in the videos was like, when you guys were mapping out the Alpine Station, and you kept, it's either the Alpine Station or the Alpine. I don't know. It's ever what I want to call it.
Right.
And then
I've heard it called different things, and I know there's people out there that know it better than I do. So
right. But then you moved down like a few feet, and you were like, geographically, this is not next to this, but it's there because it's my layout. So,
right.
But you were exactly right on that issue, And I have to tell you, I was watching, like I said, my son and I were watching the videos, and I said I said out loud, I said, man, this guy Don has a lot more patience than me. My OCD would be kicking in. I'd be ripping track out and putting new track down, but you're taking the pliers and you're pulling track out of the threads, and you're like reusing what you got to use.
Yeah.
And I'm like, a lot of that stuff is recycled, right? And you're even using old curvage stuff from the previous layout and putting it where you can. That to me, I think is great.
Yeah. There was part of the track the track was down and laid, but there was no scenery to it yet. So we're just taking those pieces and reusing them because hand laid ties. So why redo it?
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Some of those pieces, I've been walking around this place for years with them in my hands. Like, where can I use this? How can I work it in? This curve isn't quite right. Then finally, like, oh, it'll work here. Finally, So,
yeah. And I love the fact in the one video you were saying, you said, this what was it? The Alpine Path, the Alpine Station.
Alpine
you were like,
Station,
this has been in my mind for a year. I've been thinking about this for a year. And you know, I think so many of us out there that do model layout, model railroading, whether we're armchair model railroaders or we actually have the layout or we're building one. I mean, I have done that myself. I have literally laid in bed and like, oh man, this is, you know, and then get to it a year down the line and say, that's exactly what was in my mind's eye. So, you know, I absolutely, it was very, very relatable. It was very, very relatable.
Yeah, I
And
do
I
that.
like-
Look,
Go ahead,
in the
Don.
morning, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
I just say a lot of times in the morning, I'll wake up and I got all these ideas. So I get my best ideas. I'll wake up laying there and I get all these great ideas coming into my head. That I got to write it down quick. So I keep a tablet up next to the bed there. When I wake up, I make myself some notes. And
Yeah.
otherwise, I
Yeah.
forget an hour later.
Yeah, there's the rule of thumb in this in the household here, South Brooklyn Railroad, is that work on the layout cannot be done until all the external things have been done. Meaning, my wife has to get
Right.
the thing done, you know. And I try to hurry through them, so she gets a little annoyed. There's still soap in the glasses from washing the dishes because
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
it
guess
is,
if your wife's happy.
yeah.
Happy wife is a happy life.
Yeah, well, as you saw, I had to clean the window shelf here by the bridge. And
Yes.
she was,
That was funny.
cooked my favorite meal and everything.
Yeah.
So who are the other gentlemen that work on this layout with you?
So, well, since we've got Scott plugged in right now, so I'm going to bring you over to Scott. So here's Scott. And
Hey, how's it going?
so, I don't know. So my dad is also like a member of a garden railroad club. And somehow you met him through there or something, right?
Yes, I had a friend named Ben who I met through a train store, which no longer exists. And he says, oh, there's a layout that you could come and visit and take a look at. So I went down there. I still don't know the name. They do, but I don't. It was a garden layout that was outside at one point, and this guy put it inside a building. And I'm sitting there just looking at it and seeing how beautiful it is. And he comes up, if I remember correctly, Don Sr. comes up to me and says, hey, you like HO scale? I say, yes. And he says, I got an HO scale layout. Why don't you come on by and take a look at it? Okay. Hands me his card. I put it in my pocket. I go home. I pull it out. Didn't realize who it was. Gave him a call and went over, and I was hooked.
It's funny because we were talking to Scott, and like I said, he's got a lot of locomotives and stuff, and does a lot of stuff with Dakotas and whatnot. And he's like, I thought I was just a closet railroad or model railroad, right? I didn't think anybody else really did this much here. It's like, well, we found you. Now you're part of our little club here. So,
Well,
yeah.
I'm very thankful.
yeah, well, Scott, I have to say that watching these last 4 videos, you know, obviously watching Don being the ultimate sidewalk supervisor, and then he's telling me that, you know, like this, you're kind of like new to it. I mean, he said that you had collected and everything, but I whenever I watch any kind of video, I always like to watch what other people are doing, and I was watching you, and I got to tell you, man, you just jump right in there. You just jump right. I mean, that whole Y thing. I mean, if that were me, I would have cut it like 6 inches too short. Threw a tantrum on the thing. But I guess those are the outtakes that we didn't see, the blooper reel. But
No, actually, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
no, but I gotta say that you're right in the midst of it, and it's like, you know, it's just enjoyable to see, you know, when you see a plan come together, and especially like this is like a puzzle piece, you know.
Yes.
This isn't like something you're building new, you know, new lumber, you know, new cuts. This is like something, you know, that's what I loved. He hands you this curve and he goes, go ahead, do something.
Put it here.
See if you can make it fit.
Well, one thing I could say is that nothing's ever broken until you cannot fix it. So don't be
Right.
afraid. So
Yeah.
I tell everybody that. Don't be afraid. If it's already broken, then you can learn from it. So
Right.
don't be afraid of taking something apart and going for it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that seems to be the theme of the layout itself. It doesn't seem to have, it doesn't seem to myself. Like I was watching the video, and my son Mike, he was watching it, and he was like, "Man, this guy's got a lot of patience." I said, "I absolutely, my OCD would kick in. I'd be ripping this thing apart, man. I really would because I'd want new, and I wouldn't care what it cost. I'd bankrupt the budget at that.
Right.
I can't get that far because I have ADD. So I'm like, well,
Is cat? Where's cat?
right?
But no, I think this layout is really an inspiration to the model railroading community. I think what you guys are doing, I really do. It may not, on a small scale, you say, "Hey, I'm in Reno, Nevada, and I'm doing my own thing. How can this be such a?" But it is. It really is because we as the community in the model railroad, we get stuck on. We get stuck on new. We want new. We want new. You guys took something that was existing, yeah, and look at your dad. Your dad's out there networking, walking up to strange redheaded men and going, "Hey."
Yeah. Right.
Well, I don't have a layout, and I was very fortunate. He brought me into this, and I was able to. He says, "I'll let you if you help me work on my layout. I'll let you run trains on it." And I couldn't say, "Okay, fast enough."
Right.
Yeah. That's the beauty of the community. That's the beauty
Right.
of the community.
Plus,
Well,
I get to
enjoy
learn
doing
new things and meet new people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we enjoy doing it just because there are people that don't have, like Jim, he doesn't have a layout at home. He has a lot of trains and he needs a place to run them. Well, for Jim, come on over,
Yeah.
run trains. And hey, if you like to work in the layout,
There you go.
We'll
You
put
guys
you to
should meet
work.
Jim. Why don't you trade
Come on
spots
over.
with Scott here real quick, and we're gonna get Jim plugged into our headphones here. And but yeah, Jim's story is kind of similar too. He's got a little shop at home, and he does lots of work on locomotives and stuff, and he knows way more than I ever will on on all kinds of stuff, real trains and model trains and the history of both. But yeah, he didn't really have room. He didn't have a layout, so.
Scott's working on a layout now at his house, but getting one going. But it's just kind of
7 by 4 foot.
Yeah.
7 by 4 foot.
Good. Can you hear?
Can you hear me now,
There's
Jim?
only one here. It's all with a wire. There, and it only comes on when he's on.
Oh, I see, okay.
You good?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. So there's Jim, and Jim
Jim,
has
how
been.
are you?
Doing fine, how about yourself?
I woke up this morning, Jim. That's
We all know that one.
that's why they call it the present.
Right.
I
Right.
got that from my good friend Doug Muse. He's a nice guy out in Washington. Runs the B&O Railroad out in Washington D.C. So Jim, you're kind of
But I've been interested in railroads since late 40s, early 50s, so I had to make a decision at one point in my life that I would have to exclude everything east of the Mississippi River. So, I was just interested in trains, so I pretty much became a Western rail fan.
yeah.
My main subject is the Southern Pacific, and it's because I grew up in Sacramento, very near the general shops, and next would be the WP, and then although we had a Santa Fe train, it's a very small interest for me, but it's an interesting train.
So what did you work on a railroad? You retired, or you still presently work?
No, I'm retired, and no, I didn't work on the railroad, although I had family members did work on the railroad going back to just around the turn of the century. I had a grandfather that worked on the Santa Fe in Southern California.
Nice, very nice. So how did you get involved in working on this layout?
Interesting story.
Yeah.
My
So,
story is quite a bit different from Scott's. I was walking in the neighborhood, my neighborhood. I was walking for my health, and I was walking down the street, and there was a garage door open, and I saw a layout, so I immediately stopped. made a U-turn and went right for it. And introduced myself, and it was Don Senior, and he had the narrow gauge in the garage, and I was really fascinated by it because of the quality of the work. Because Don Jr. said it's all white, it's all scratch built, and it's pretty historically correct. And not only that, what interested me was that although it's made out of hydrocal, it's extremely lightweight. I was just fascinated with that. And I had to figure out how it was done because as you know, working with hydrocal can get real heavy real fast. And then Don moved away, and that was the end of that. And my wife is a piano technician, and so is Don Jr.'s wife is also a piano technician, which is probably the only two women technicians in the state of Nevada. But anyway, they got together for a lunch, and we were invited along. And Don the younger, was telling me this story about his dad. Him and his dad had this layout that was in pieces, and they were putting it back together. And also that Don Senior had a '69 Camaro that they had restored. And I said, this story sounds kind of familiar. so he invited me over to come and look at the layout, and that was it. At that time.
Let me see if I can encapsulate this. You were out walking on your daily walk.
Yes.
Just simple health reasons. You passed this open door garage. You looked in, you see this pieces of this layout. You notice that it's historically correct, and you notice the build was pretty decent and correct. And, you saw it, and then you inquired about it, and then it wasn't built yet, and then Don moves. You and your wife and Don Jr.'s wife get together, and you guys go out, and he starts the story, and you're like,
this is years later.
right, years later, and oh wait, I know that layout. And then, as we say in Brooklyn, bada bing, bada boom, there you are.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And he was, you know what? I will work on the layout and do whatever if you let me bring trains over to run. So that's what we do. So it works out great.
I am telling you, this is great.
It's amazing how we met up again.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, it's not, it doesn't matter if you're in a small town, a small community. It's like anything else, it's by the providence of the model railroad gods that, this all comes together. So you actually literally have the perfect crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do.
Yeah. I wouldn't call us a club. We're just some guys that hang out together once a night and work on trains.
We do have a couple of open houses twice a year. We usually do one the first weekend in November. And several of the model railroaders throughout the city and Carson City there, and you get together and we have about 20, 25 different layouts that are on this tour in November, and we're always open for that. And it's a 3-day weekend. People from Sacramento come up and see them too, so it's a pretty big deal. It's not very well publicized at all. We just by word of mouth and emails we get it out there, and we actually have another small one coming up here next month for just a few people are up there having an open house, so people are welcome to come to that too. So we reach out to people wherever we can, because we'd like to get younger people, especially involved in the model railroading, because it's just, it's a lot of us older people that there's nobody else to continue it on. What happens to it? Yeah, we got some of young. You got Scott and Donald.
Yeah, you got Jim's pretty young,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So sometimes I'll bring my daughter in and I'll have her help out paint something or whatever, and so try to get them involved a little bit here and there.
Right.
Something other.
And for everybody out there that's watching and that's going to watch after this show, you guys got to seriously subscribe, hit the like buttons, and hit the bell. on the Neely Historical Railroad. It's just so because I saw that other video where you had the clouds in the back.
Yeah,
So,
and smoke coming up.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Indian Head Valley Railroad says you guys are like a family.
yeah, we're like a family.
We
Yeah.
are, we really are.
Yeah.
We come over, we have dinner together at times and just have a great time.
Yeah. So each and every time that you got something to say.
What-
Oh, no,
what's that?
I was just wondering if Jim had something he wanted to add.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we
There
go.
is something, and it's when Don mentioned his daughter, and this is something I've never really seen before. And Don Senior's father just passed away just a couple of years ago. He was the original model railroad in the family, then it was Don Senior and Don Junior, and I've never seen 3 generations in the same family as model railroaders. But I've never seen it. It's possibly with Sonia, his older daughter, maybe it's going to be 4.
Maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Another son too, he might
Yeah.
eventually get interested,
Right.
hopefully.
Yeah. So I remember, being a kid, like, I don't know how, I was pretty young, probably 5 or 6. And I had well, my mom called it a bedroom, but really it was the train room. And like my bed went underneath half the layout. It was like this 4x8 layout. Later it grew even more. Yeah, so that was like my first thing. Someday I'll find a picture and maybe put it in one of my videos. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, and that was an HO scale layout. Yeah, so like I said, it's multi-generational, so that's good.
Yeah, it is. Indian Head Valley Railroad, Wilma says it's like watching your video is like watching a sitcom that teaches each week. It's really not bad.
Right, it's not bad. Not bad. Yep.
Eric Hall of IMRRO.com. Hey, Eric, I subscribed.
Cool. Thank you.
Cowboy Valley and Timber Junction Railroad. I think you're new to this. I haven't seen you around Cowboy Valley. Well, welcome to it.
Yeah.
That's true. Dale PRR guy, base evening guys. He just walked in. I remember being a kid too. It was like 14 years ago. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Same here.
Not that long.
I was when you just mentioned it, I was watching. I don't know if you remember the old sci-fi movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not the one with what's his name? Keanu Reeves, the older one with the 50s. The kid's up in his bedroom and his mother tells him to go to bed and get some sleep. He says, "Okay, Mom." She shuts the door and he reaches underneath his bed and he grabs these 2 handles and he pulls out this Lionel figure 8.
Nice.
Yeah, look at this.
That's cool.
I have to say, again, I know I'm going on about your layout, but most of your layout has existing track and you're adding to it. The question,
Right. So, go
go
ahead.
ahead. I have a question, but go ahead, answer that.
So I was gonna maybe kind of grab the camera and I can kind of show you around a little bit to give you an idea of what's going on. But like I said, we have the standard gauge layout that we started and the narrow gauge stuff over there. And then we're adding track that goes around the entire perimeter of the room. And part of that's dual gauge and it links both layouts together. So we, like I said earlier, we still have an opportunity to add our own stuff. We got a whole section over here we haven't done anything with. It's empty space in the room and we can't have too much of that. So we got to fill that in with something. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the biggest problem was after we cut this all into sections, we had about 7 sections and we had to get into this room and we unloaded off the truck. We cut the pieces so that we turn it on edge and pull it through the doorway, people doorway.
Right.
And we started to do that and it just wasn't working well. So I just took the people doorway and got an 8-foot section of the wall out. So we just carried it in this way here.
That
And
was the door over there.
when we unloaded it, yeah, that was the door there, but we unloaded off the truck. And as we did that, we screwed a leg on each corner, what was square, and we carried it in and we had to set it in place approximately where it was going to go because once we got everything in here, there's no way we could move it around. But then it took us a year before we ever got everything leveled off and all the track even and lined up and operational. So it it was quite a major project, a lot bigger than I thought it was gonna be, but we
Did you-
succeeded.
Did you
Right.
guys have to do any structural changes to the floor?
No, it's got a slab floor in here, and it was fine. And we
Okay.
had to, do some leveling with shims on that under the legs. Well, we put new legs on there because the legs, when we carried it in, we just cut them to approximately, we just set it down, then we had to
Right.
come back and recut every leg and level them off, and someplace we had to use shims that were off a little bit. So this is quite an adventure.
I think the whole layout ended up about like 2 inches lower than it was originally. So I'm gonna show you around a little bit here if we can. Just gently and carefully. There we go.
Oh, it's all right. I took my Dramamine pills. So.
Okay. I guess the biggest problem is I'm in the way. So there we go. Yeah, so this far corner back over there, that's the narrow gauge stuff. And in the front, I added tunnels that are in Colorado by not Boris Pass. Can't think of it.
I'll see.
No, can't think of it. But anyway, so we added on to that, made the front kind of longer. So again, kind of back over, there's our stairs. But yeah, this is kind of all the narrow gauge stuff. And then over here, see here, where Scott is, that is more narrow gauge stuff that I'm adding. And that's going to be like, Romley, St. Elmo, and that type of area. So again, trying to stick with the historical location for that. Over here in this corner, by the clock, there's a workbench on the side of Scott over there, and that's like a whole town that we're going to build that we haven't even done any bench work for yet. So that will be all new stuff. Right. So, yes. And then here's mountain we're trying to replace. Very crooked. Mountain we're trying to kind of put back in place, and we're building a kind of an old western town up there, but it's going to be maybe more of like a touristy kind of place because it's kind of in the 50s or whatever. So
Right.
let me get you back over here now. So
Now, here's my question.
what's up?
Yeah, I'm just reading a question. Eric Hall from IMRO.com. He says, we had a situation that we moved this huge section of a repurposed layout down a flight of stairs into a basement layout, 14 to 16 feet deep down. Took around 8 or 10 people just to move it, the LDRR.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
here's my question to you now. This layout was is basically repurposed, and it was taken out and it was in storage for quite a while. Then you put it back. How long did it take you to clean the existing track? And was that or was it just let's get to that last and let's just put this together first? It takes
So the narrow gauge one is the one that was like in storage. And to be honest, a lot of the track that's on there, I still don't actually have up and running yet. Like there's a yard, pretty long yard on there, and I actually don't even have that running yet. But primarily because every turnout on there pretty much was like hand built in place, and there were stub switches. And a lot of the ones going into that yard were never completed, so they're still missing half of the frog or whatever. And then there's like three-way stub switches that right now I just have spiked down to go straight. So again, about 2 years ago, I bought the electronics to make those work, but haven't got to it yet. So, but yeah, as far as cleaning it, we kind of went a section at a time. We kind of got this section connected to that, get it wired up, solder the rails back together, and then it's kind of, one section at a time. But it took us a while to get it up and going. And then, like my dad said, we had that pretty much all going, and then we got the standard gauge layout, and they both weren't going to fit in the room. So we took how long is that section? It's like a 16-foot section of the narrow gauge, and we had to cut it back off and spin it 90 degrees to go lengthwise of the room to make it all fit. So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, no, it did. I just, you know, because when you have a large layout, the larger the layout, the more the maintenance. You know, because obviously there's maintenance that has to, as you
Right.
you finish and you move on, but then you got to come back to what you finished to do maintenance work. You know, and that's what I'm finding. You know, in my
Right.
it is not as big. My layout in the South Brooklyn is 10 by 13, 10 feet, 13, 10 by 13, but it's a wraparound and point to point, but still, you know, I've finally got it down to a science of maintenance wise, you know, that I actually check off, you know, on a maintenance log that I, you know, just so I
Right.
stay ahead of it, because I hate doing that finger pushing thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, we've done used a lot of bright boys on this layout here. We don't do it so much anymore. We still use them, but trying to either use alcohol or some drops of oil to
I
help
don't know
the
if that's good or bad, but it seems to work well. So
Just get the
long term, we'll
clean,
see what happens.
wheels clean.
But,
And
Yeah,
you know,
go ahead.
I would just say, you know, sometimes we try to stop working on the layout. It's like, all right, next Monday, we're just going to run trains, you know. So we'll all come out here, you know, early and just start cleaning all the track. And then, yeah, then we'll just run stuff for a while. Then it stays clean for quite a while until we really start making some more dust again. But
Right. Michael Conley says, wowza, this is a huge basement empire.
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
1,200 square feet down here in this
How
room.
many?
1,200,
Wow.
30 by
Right.
40.
Indian Head Valley Railroad, Wilma says, I notice you hand lay a lot of your track. Do you prefer the hand laid over manufactured track?
So, okay, so with the standard gauge layout, that was all flex track. I mean, there was some old stuff, some really old stuff on there, but I think it's all probably like Shinohara and Atlas type of stuff.
Right.
So whenever we're working on that, we'll use regular flex track. The narrow gauge layout, most of actually pretty much everything that was exposed on that was hand laid. So just trying to be true to what the previous owner was doing with that layout, I hand lay it. But there's areas like against the wall where it's just this little shelf that goes across the wall to get past a set of stairs. No scenery really. I use flex track on that, and then like in the tunnels where I'm not like trying to really do any great scenery, I'll use some flex track there. But everything else, I'm trying to, you know, hand lay it again. And that's why I'm kind of trying to reuse a lot of the previous stuff. I don't know if that's saving me time or not, but so
He builds a lot of these dual gauge turnouts. The
Yeah.
Santa gauge, dual gauge. He's great at building these, hand laying them.
I'm slowing down on it though. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
lot of, it's our Johnny Rep here, he does he does his build switches, and it gets tedious. It gets tedious after a while. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I'll say though, if you build a couple of the dual gauge turnouts, like using the fast track stuff, you do some of that, and then you build just a normal standard gauge left hand switch. It goes like that, it seems like.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Oh wait, there's like 50 less rails in here. This is a lot easier. So yeah.
Much easier.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It's but I saw you do the video where you had the train for the what was it, the coal, and you hand laid the switch, but the train kept.
right. Yeah, so those switches, they're up front. So I kind of custom built those switches. But again, they're point switches, and if you want to get historically correct, they maybe should have been stub switches, but most of the turnouts on that layout are already stub switches, and I don't really want to add too many more. So
Just for explanation and for people out there who are watching, what's the difference between the stub switch and the existing?
So, wow. So I got to try to do that without pictures. So with a stub switch, you've got your two tracks going two different directions, and the rails coming into it move back and forth instead of having points inside here that move back and forth.
Right.
If that makes sense or not. So
Yeah.
yeah. And at some point, I think on that Colorado Southern, they started switching them out too, but yeah.
Oh, just for the guys out there who may not who will be going, what is he talking about? I mean,
Right.
Right.
I'm going to chime in now and say, hey, I knew what he was talking about. I knew that. Yeah, I knew.
Now, when I went to Promontory Point for the sesquicentennial anniversary, they have track up there and they have a couple of turnouts, and they actually use stub switches too there.
Right.
Surprised me. So if they've ever been to Promontory Point, they can see what the stub switch looks like, or if they go up to Como, Colorado, or somewhere else, they still have them up there.
Right, right. No, that's good. And the fact that you're repurposing it, and the fact that we can see this train behind you is still running around,
They're going,
and
they'll run for hours.
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah. It's nice to see, and it's nice
Um,
it comes together.
Yeah. So we were kind of talking about my channel and stuff, and maybe you're going to get into this, but I was going to talk about kind of why I started doing videos and
Sure, go
whatnot.
right ahead.
So I have like a regular, 9 to 5 kind of job, but in my other life, if I could, I would do film and video and that type of stuff. So it's always interested me. And I've got, I've done like some music videos and helped some other guys do short films and that type of stuff. So I've always been interested in that. And then I was kind of interested in maybe trying to do some YouTube channel of something. I don't know what it was going to be about. So a few years back, we bought some chickens, little chickens, baby chickens. So I just grabbed my phone. I was like, oh, let's just start shooting video. So I did like this whole video, edited it, put it all together. And it was like funny. It was just about these chickens and us, putting them in our shower so they could grow up and building a birdhouse for them, that kind of stuff. And it's like, that was kind of cool. I was like, hey, that was kind of funny. That was fun. But the issue is like, if I do videos like that, I'm going to have to come up with content all the time. And it's like, I'm too busy for that. So
Right.
with the layout stuff, I come out here once a week, about 20 minutes from my dad's house. So I come out here once a week and work on the layout pretty consistently. Thank you, my wife, for letting me do that. So
My wife is babysitting for the kids.
yeah, his wife goes over to my house and watches my kids, so I can come over here and work on the layout. So that's awesome too. So I kind of been thinking for a while. It's like maybe I should do videos, and I've been watching like Rob Bennett. I've been watching a lot of his videos, and he was kind of a big inspiration. I faithfully follow his stuff, and then also Steve Brown more recently with the It's My Railroad. I kind of started watching his stuff and some of his live feeds. I don't have a whole lot of time to watch live stuff too much. I kind of saw those guys and I thought, maybe I should start doing some videos of our layout. I mean, I'm watching these guys and people seem to be interested in that. And it's like, I'm doing that kind of stuff too. So I think maybe I'll start doing some videos. So at the first of the year, I actually kind of started before the first of the year, so I can kind of get ahead of myself a little bit. Let's just start at the first of the year, and let's see if I can just commit to it and put a video out once a week, which I have not missed a week yet. I missed one day once because I forgot it was Wednesday. So I've just been doing it. And what's funny too is like I probably spend too much time editing videos and putting effort into it, but my creative side and the side of me that wants to do film and that type of stuff, and I did that first video, it's like, how's this going to turn out? What's it going to feel like? I don't even know. Once I did it and, I had good music and stuff, it's like, I really like that.
Right.
So, now I've kind of streamlined it so it's a little easier. So basically it's easy. I just sleep less. I just, put the kids to bed. It's like, oh, spend another 2 hours editing. And so
sleep is overrated anyway.
Totally. It really is. So, so it's been a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, well, I have to say, I have to comment on your videos as well. I think they're very eclectic and different. I think that you bring an entertainment value to it. I like the fact that when you shoot from overhead, that you on your head. I like that.
Right. I debated whether or not to do that, and like I've gotten a lot of like comments about that. Like that was the funniest thing. It's like, oh, good, I'm glad you like this. So.
For us guys who were doing the Jesuit look.
Yeah. Let's try to keep it family friendly.
Exactly. But just the overall content of it is very entertaining. It's not structured, but it is structured in a way. I mean, you pop in and out of the video, and it's like, you know,
Right. And like, I say that, I was a little worried at sometimes because like a lot of the guys I watch, they work on a whole section and they accomplish this whole big thing and they do a video on it out. They do a video on it and put it out, and it's a great video, and I love watching it. But it's like me, it's like I don't do it that way. I just take the camera with me every work night, and that is a video. So sometimes I accomplish very little and I almost feel guilty putting a video out, but it's like I still make it entertaining somehow. And you guys are watching it, so that's awesome. So all right, so that's just my style then, so.
Well, it is, and I'd like to attribute it to the fact that that's what's real.
Right.
I mean, when we watch guys who do model railroad or any kind of content video where it's a creative effort, you see how effortless it is. Gee, I wish I could do that. But what we don't see is the toil and the work that goes into it before. And when you present it, there's a guy sitting out there who's like, I really want to do a layout, but look at these guys. These guys are so far advanced than I am, and I can't do it. And then you show up, and it's like, wait a minute, this guy did it, and he's using repurpose, and he's doing this, and I can do that. I can make just as many mistakes as he and still do it.
Right. And I still feel like I'm almost new to it sometimes too. It's like, I see a lot of the buildings and stuff on here, and I didn't build them myself, but when I was like 16, I've got this, I don't know where it's sitting, but I scratch built a church, and that was totally awesome. And like back up in the mountains, I built a log cabin out of our dried up old Christmas tree one time. And between the glue and the sap, you should probably have a well ventilated area to do that next time. But yeah, I built this, so I haven't done structures in a while, but I know I can, and I'm like totally looking forward to it. Like I showed that eating house in Como. I actually kind of had the floor plan of what that's supposed to look like. So I've got a printout standing up over there, a piece of paper that's my dream. It's like someday I'm going to build this thing. It might be hydrocal. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I know I can do it someday. Just need time. So.
I have a very good friend of mine he's an older man. Basically, I would say he was my mentor. And he used to lecture me when I used to, screw up on things. And he says, it's all right to fail. He used to give me these lectures. You have to fail. Fail. I want you to fail. He said, do it. Just fail, because it's going to teach you how to be better at what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And, it's something that, a lot of us, right out of the box, you want to build this layout. You want to build this, perfect dream thing that you got. But then you run into the obstacles, and you're like, and we don't want to fail. But in order to get better at this, you have to.
Right. And that's why I say
it's
sometimes
set up for you to fail. It's actually set up for you to fail.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty. And I'm sure you find this as well. Your regular 9-to-5 job, boom, boom, boom. It's hitting you from all angles, whatever it is. Boom, boom, boom. And then you come down and you cannot figure out why that switch is giving you a problem at the coal mine. But for some unexplainable reason, no matter what's going on in the regular day, that kind of seems to it sifts through all the garbage and all of that. And what you fixed here on the job, it's like, now I know what to tell that customer. Now I know how to approach that problem. So, it works on all aspects of our lives. I think.
Yeah. And like I said in the videos too, sometimes let's do this. Let's try this out. If it doesn't work, let's tear it out and do it again. I'm starting to learn it. It's like you can build something awesome, but someday it's going to have to go away one way or another, whether you come up with a new idea or you move or something. So
exactly.
Don't be afraid to just do something and be okay to tear it out later and do something different. So
right. My first introduction to that was a model railroader, Al Mayo. Al Mayo had this layout in his basement, and he shot a video one day, and he said, he's standing behind the layout, and he goes, this section here doesn't work, so it's time for it to go. And he takes out a hammer and And I'm
Yeah.
like freaking out. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? But then
Yeah.
I was in the same situation over here with my Peninsula with the carrot. I put the tracks in too fast. I didn't take my time. 2:30 in the morning, I got up, took the Dremel tool,
Yes.
ripped it all out. 4, 5, 6 in the morning, my wife got up and she said, "You've been up all night." I said, "Yeah, but look how nice I cleaned this all up."
Yes.
Right, it's worth it.
Yep.
And now
So,
it's all clean. Now I'm going to start from scratch and do it the right way. You know?
Yep, yeah. So I just wanted to answer one of the questions. Model Railer said, "Why did you guys pick the tightest spot in the room to sit?" So, which is
Exactly.
kind of right. But
I love my
Well,
son.
we like each other. We're good. But it just was like the best view. I was gonna like sit over there, but then you would see the corner and the door, and it's kind of dark over there. It just seemed to be the best view. And
Yeah, I think it
I don't know, just it's
Yeah,
a
we're
little
fine.
tight, but we're not all four in here at least. We could sit Jim on the layout maybe, but
Yeah.
so,
Wilma says, from Indian Head Rally Railroad says, and if you still can't do it, just tell Scott to do it.
yeah.
Right,
So he said,
exactly.
if you still can't do it, just have Scott do it. So
Do what?
whatever.
Okay.
Scott's been super helpful and very good at taking on whatever I throw at him. So
Just let
Yeah.
Scott know. I want Scott to know this from me personally, that Scott is absolutely the wind beneath my wings.
he just said Scott is the wind beneath his wings.
Oh.
He's my hero. He's my hero.
He's Bill's hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I love the way he goes about
Well,
business.
there's only one thing I'm afraid of, and that's paint.
He said he's only afraid of paint.
Eric Hall from IMRRO.com says that is why all I need to do is track down all my mistakes in placing track. The other good thing about is scenery. Scenery hides all kinds of mistakes, right, Eric? You know,
Right.
scenery can it can hide
Oh,
tons and tons of mistakes. So
yeah, right.
be afraid to scenic, you know.
Yeah.
I love when people come into my railroad and they look at it. I always want to see if they'll see, you know, the novice will never look and say, oh, the first thing they do is like, wow, you know. But when I get a model railroader that visits, I'm always keen to see if they'll find the glaring mistakes.
Right.
They're pretty, you know, nice. And they'll mention it. Coffee, they'll say, you know, I said, oh, that section in the corner by the powerhouse. Yeah, and I go, yeah, I know.
Hey, Bill, getting back to the multi-generational aspect of this.
Sure.
The way I got started in this was my father, which we brought up earlier, started way back in the 1950s, probably, sitting in front of one of these little old black and white TV sets when it first came out. He had a
Yeah.
card table out there, and he's working on a HO model boxcar kits.
Right.
I sat there and watched him do that, and I just had an interest in trains. So eventually, Christmas or whatever, he bought my brother and I a Lionel train, and so we put it on a 4x8 sheet of plywood, folded up in our bedroom, folded up against the wall, and let it back down. And we ran trains, and I've been collecting trains ever since. I didn't stay with O-Gauge, but I went with HO, and I started building several layouts over the years. But every time I build one after I got married, I'd build one in an apartment bedroom, and then we turn around, we move, and then this happens so many times. You start a layout, then you don't stay there, and you turn around, you gotta move. And then so for many years, I just didn't have a layout. I just started buying trains as whenever they're on sale, and that's a good buy. That's something I'd like to have. Eventually, I'm going to have a layout. And like many of us, when we're younger, we envisioned this layout that we'd love to have. I still have plans I drew back in the 1960s, hand
I
drawn.
remember seeing those.
I did drafting for a while, and I drew some plans, and they were
Big.
probably as big as this layout here.
Bigger.
And I'll never have anything. I'll never have anything. Yeah, big dreamer. I'll never have anything like this here. But I'd like to go into logging. I'd like to have mining. I'd like to have a town over here, and maybe a water feature over here, and all these things that you start dreaming about. But then, after I realized that these things don't always happen that way, and you're gonna, if not, you get a job that's making really good money, you're probably not gonna have to be able to buy a house that has big enough room to build something like this in. So I just kept collecting for a while, and about 10 years ago, I started looking for a house to buy, and I said, my wife and I were looking, and if we want to buy a house, it has to have a room in the house so I can put a layout in, or it has to have enough room outside where I can add on to the house, and then we can build a layout. We looked, and this was for 2010, thereabouts after the crash, and there was a lot of homes for sale. We put deposits on a couple of homes, and they fell through, and we looked, and finally, a realtor called us up in the morning, said, "Hey, I've got a house for you. You gotta go over and take a look at it." And so he said, "All right, we'll be over there." Got over there probably 9 o'clock in the morning, and they never should have put the house on, opened it up for visitation yet.
It was nasty.
It was a disaster.
The one you're in now?
The
Yeah.
one we're in now. It was a short sale, and it just, people were still living in it, and the house was a mess. I had a lot of do work in that, but I didn't see, I walked through the house. I got to go out back and see what they got out back there, the room out back there. And he's a carpenter who actually built the room out here. But he used it for a shop, for working on cars and painting cars and this and that. And I looked out there, and then the oversized garage is 30 feet wide and 50 feet long. So we're using the 30 by 40 feet. I got a by 69 Camaro I keep on the other side, but so we bought the house. We made an offer on it before anybody else had a chance to look at it. They accepted the offer, and here we are. Here's my dream layout. Finally, and I didn't have to start it from scratch. That'd be a long way to go.
Yeah.
How long it takes to build these, even repurposing this one here, it takes a long time because there's a lot of work that we're adding on here and added on there. So
We added all the outlets, all the lights, we insulated it, we sheetrocked it, we painted it. And so,
right, it was just stud walls, on the inside, and so we had to throw the lights in, sheetrock, and everything else. So
Now,
it was fun.
is that air conditioned?
It is. It's air conditioned and heater. It's got a commercial type heater, which is the one we picked up, fortunately, from my son-in-law. He knew somebody that was adding on a commercial building, adding on making more office space.
Yeah.
And they had to get a new unit. So they had this other one sitting out there, and I got an excellent price on it. I almost gave it to me, but not quite. And we hooked it up here. We had to do all the duct work in. I had somebody, Rodney, help us out doing all the duct work, and as he is the sheet metal guy. So it just all worked out. Things take care of itself. Yeah.
What is the average temperature there in the summer? Like now that we're in July, what's the average temperature during the?
Well, this summer, it's usually in the 90s. Now we have not hit 100 yet, but it's been very close to 99 almost this summer. Usually, a couple years ago in June, we had about 14 days or something over 100. Last year we had several days over 100, but this year it runs about 95. But it's a good thing we put the air conditioning heat in here, because the greater temperature changes that you have, your track will expand and contract.
Right.
And I had a problem with that on the narrow gauge. We put it up in there before we had the heat on, and when my locomotive just boom.
It's like, what was that about?
Right
It
down
used
the
to work
gully.
fine.
It was running fine before. So now we make sure we have gaps in the track more so, and we compensate for that, but we keep the temperature in here at a fairly reasonable temperature most of the time, year round.
Right. Well, that's good, man.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there is thinking these T-shirts that Don and
Oh,
Don Senior are wearing are only got them made up for they were going to go do, but they didn't get them, and then finally they got them. So unfortunately, they're not for sale, because if I'd buy a couple of dozen of them.
right. Yeah. If I get
Place your
enough
order.
subscribers, maybe we'll do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, these are the only two in existence. So,
I'm still waiting for him to give us.
yes. Yeah, I feel bad. I
Yeah,
haven't
right.
got Scott or
Help
Jim
doesn't
a
have
shirt yet, but
Yeah, the help doesn't have any shirts.
right.
No,
We do have some other ones too that have our name on it and prospects on there that we wear when we have open house and stuff.
Yeah.
But this is since that time.
Ralph Franzetti says, I see you guys are running Digitrax. How many boosters do you run? And do you have Wi-Fi for cell phone throttle?
Yes.
Yes. So right. Yeah. So we are running Digitrax, and we have 2 boosters. There's one that runs all the standard gauge stuff, and then our older original one runs the narrow gauge, whatnot. And then we can't think of the name,
Wi-Fi.
but we go through the little circuit boards. Can't think of the name. As circuit breakers and auto reversers, the PSX AR stuff. We do that, and then we. Not too long ago, we did take an ancient laptop and got that set up and got the interface set up into Digitrax. And I found a $5 Wi-Fi router at a thrift store, and I hooked that up. It works great if you never turn it off, because then it forgets everything. But so that we can use our cell phones on that. Yeah, and that works pretty good.
Cool.
It's nice to be able to use the phones, actually. So
Yeah. Awesome Bayou says Wi-Fi is the way to go.
yes.
It is.
Welcome.
But we do have a section of this layout that you have not seen that's in the other room.
Right.
There's a 10-foot, 100 square foot, and the other side we're making an intermodal yard that goes through the wall there. That what the door was over there.
Yeah. So that's in some of the videos, but yeah, it does go
it's in
through the
there.
wall into the other
Is
room
this-
there. And that's
I know that this is, it runs circular, but are you going to do operations?
so it's funny. Jim and I were just talking about that last night, and it's the layout. I don't think was really set up as much for operations. So we haven't really done that much, but we were just talking like we want to add another siding over here for this farm that's here, and that will help out. And all the stuff that all the plans I've ever drawn up, I've always tried to have a point here and a point there. You get the coal here, you take it there. You get the gold there, you take it to that mill. So it's really hard, working with existing stuff that's already here and try to modify it. But the stuff we're adding, we're trying to get that more point-to-point type of stuff worked in. Jim and I were just talking about, I think I'm going to put a mill over here or partly over there. That way I can take stuff from that mine and take it all the way halfway around the room to there. And the cows, they have a place, to transfer cows from narrow gauge to standard gauge. And we're going to take it over here to this farm. So we're trying to get more of that built in. But as far as like cards and all that type of stuff, I think we're just not there with this layout at the moment. So
No, okay. But in the future, it could be something you could be looking into.
right. And when we run stuff, we'll just let a train run around with the narrow gauge. Once I get the rest of that put back together, I want to set up so I can have a train that just goes around, but then I can run my own train, moving coal cars around and stuff to a couple different points. And
We can run the trains around like they are now and still work something else in the yards.
right.
Yeah, right. True. Very true. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for allowing us to come into your empire base there and on the Neely Historical Railroad. And we went an hour and almost 21 minutes here. And I'm sure we could continue to go on and talk about more aspects of it. I just want to thank both Dons very much for taking time out of their busy schedule. To Scott and to Jim for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you very much. I was like thrilled that you got a hold of me. It's like, wait, you want to be on your live show? It's like, okay, that's cool.
we trust me, we ain't that big. We still put our pants on one leg at a time around.
Yeah. So
our main goal here is to get you guys exposure, and if you guys can get more subscribers and more hitting the like button and more whatever it is to promote the model hobby and to promote your channel, power to us and to the community. So
I really appreciate that because every time I get like a new subscriber, it's kind of inspiring for me. It's like, I should still do videos. Let's keep doing videos. There's people out there that actually care. So it's cool. Yeah. So that's good. It's inspiring.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And thank all the guys out there that are watching. Thanks for this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
midsummer interruption into the summer months. We'll be back. Tomorrow night, and John will be doing in Johnny's train room, and you guys can pop in. Like I said earlier, we'll have the camera up if you have a webcam or on your laptop. You can join in and share your hobby moments, share what you're working on. We got a question, we have a Q&A. You guys can ask the resident experts who usually join in and take care of business for you and help you. And if you're stuck on something, they'd be more than happy. If they don't know, they'll find out. So that's tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Thursday on the 25th of July, and you guys can check them out. And just one more thing. I get this thing in the mail on my email. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but there's a company out there called the American Science and Surplus Company. And they have some really great deals. I recently, this is a plug, and I'm not getting anything for this, so I want to. I got this rotary tool accessory thing, like for 20 some odd dollars. It's got 276 pieces of rotary, and it comes in its own plastic case.
Cool.
Yeah, this is not bad, right?
No.
With its own case and everything, and you
Wow.
take it off and use it. But right now they're having a sale, and the only reason I bring this up is they have a 100-piece rotary tool bonanza on sale for $10.95. It was originally $13.50, and they have the Kaplan Polymod tape. Guys who are doing engines and need around it. The tape is $5.95, and this
Wow.
American Science and Surplus Company. Just write that, American Science and Surplus Company. They have all like if you want to get a gas mask from military, they have all that crazy.
Wow.
So, and they have toolboxes and tools that are extremely, pretty reasonably priced, and things that you can use in the model railroads. I just wanted to pass that on to you guys out there.
Great. Thank you.
And we'll try to put something in the description down below for it, so you guys can check and see if you can get that. That's pretty good. Okay, thanks a lot, Don, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody out there in the community, Model Railroad. Thank you for tuning in. You guys take care. Have a great night and even a better week, and we'll see you on the radio.
Okay.